There have been a lot of videos on TikTok going around talking about whether or not you should criticize fanfiction. And as someone who has been a professional writer for most of their life and who got there via fanfiction, here's my take. I think it is very clear that AoE has a set of rules that its culture follows. And that set of rules is positive responses only unless otherwise solicited. And I think that if you go into that community and break those rules, you're an asshole. However, I think those rules are intrinsic to AO3, not intrinsic to fanfiction as a whole. AO3 was not around when I was writing fanfiction, and I'm well past the desire to write fanfiction in my current writing career. But I could tell right now, if I were to write fanfiction, AO3 would not be the place for me, because the communities that I ran in, back when I did write fanfiction, were all about trying to hone a skill. Fanfiction was our vector to become better writers, and unsolicited critique was in fact useful and valued. I'll relate this, as I do most times, to fighting games. Most people who play fighting games just want to mash and have a good time. If I go into their spaces and critique their gameplay, I'm being an asshole. But I don't want to mash. I want to improve. And so I hang out in communities where my gameplay is routinely criticized, even if I don't solicit it. And I do the same, and we all work to make each other better. That is part of sort of the social contract of entering into these communities. And similarly, there still is a community of fanfiction writers whose purpose in writing fanfiction is to improve. They are not just building community and sharing love and an IP. They are trying to better themselves as a writer. So the one thing I would caution is equating the social rules of one community with the social rules of an entire medium. Because it feels bad when you're kind of shamed into private spaces because your goal is different from other people's goal. Like, it sucks, as someone in the fighting game community, that often we are treated as the try-hard sweats that ruin everybody else's time. That our way of enjoying this hobby is somehow publicly wrong. The FGC has pushed back against that. Similarly, I think that if you're the type of person who wants to give and receive criticism on their writing through the medium of fanfiction, I think it sucks if people say that your way of approaching this medium is by default publicly wrong. It's not. You are allowed to approach this medium with that attitude. And you are allowed to find a public-facing community of people who share those same values. It's just probably not AO3, and you shouldn't attempt to make AO3 that community. So I think, again, I want to stress, everyone enjoys things in different ways. Everyone enjoys fanfiction for different reasons. Saying that fanfiction has to be open to negative critique is wrong, but saying that fanfiction can't be open to negative critique is also wrong. Let people approach this medium in the way that they most love in communities that agree with them. And don't try to force them to interact with the medium the way that you do just because you disagree with them. That's just not cool.